Oh, I got cut off there. Can you hear me still?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. Hi everybody. We're just getting started. So I know there's a few people who are still joining. Thank you all so much for being here. We'll just take a couple more minutes to let people grab their lunch or some beverage of their choice, and we'll get started in just 1 minute.
I see you're wearing your orange shirt, Jen. Can you hear me? Uh-oh.
Sorry, Mary, I just heard the beginning of your, and I couldn't I think it might be me. Did you say something?
Yes, I said, I see you're wearing your orange shirt.
I am. Yes, orange shirt all week.
I, I'm
I'm
not. I totally forgot. It was
That's
one of
okay.
those mornings, what can I say?
Great. I'm glad Chelsea can hear people. We are making sure that our like audio and video are okay. For me, I just had like a uh-oh. It just seemed to go out for a second there. All right. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started because I know that we've got a tight timeline today. And my name is Chant Chong. I'm the Executive Director of Diversity and Inclusion. I go by she, they pronouns. Thank you all so much for being here today. And I am very, very grateful to be zooming in here from the traditional unceded and ancestral territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh. And I am so pleased to be here today with our wonderful AAFA from Maple Ridge campus, Mary Ward. And we are going to be having a conversation about some of the things that perhaps some of the folks on here are curious about or wondering about for National Truth and Reconciliation Day, which is next Monday. And so since next Monday itself is a statutory holiday, we are doing a lot of our honoring and discussions this week. And so, as Mary mentioned, I'm wearing my orange shirt. Some folks are also wearing their orange shirt. So thanks so much for showing your support. And we are going to go ahead and get started. Mary, you ready?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, great. So this session is being recorded and will be available later. But Mary, if you could just start us off with, telling us about you, your background, and your role at Sprott.
So, my English name is Mary Ward. My spirit name is Blue Thunder Spirit. Uh, my throat is a little bit scratchy today, so I apologize for that. Um, you know, obviously, I'm First Nations, full blood. My maternal side is Bonaparte Reserve, Cache Creek area. Uh, it is part of Four Nations up there. And then my paternal side is Cree, Northern Alberta Cree. And so I always tell people on July 1st, this right here is the most Canadian you're ever going to get. You're
Absolutely.
not going to get anything more Canadian than this. And so I was part of the 60s scoop. I got scooped away from my family when I was about a year and a half old. And I grew up in a French white community in Millardville, Coquitlam, um, with one family, thank God. I'm so thankful and blessed for that. One family who loved and cared about me. I've heard lots of horror stories. You know, um, I've never met my birth parents. Um, mm, I have met my birth sister when I think I was 21 or 22 on Bonaparte Reserve. And I walked in there and oh my gosh, there was like 250 people there. And I just looked around and I said to them, and I says, I'm really sorry, but this has got to be the most freaking Indians I've ever seen in my life in one place. And they laughed. Oh my God, they thought it was hilarious. And it's true though, because I grew up in Coquitlam. I was the only one in my school. I didn't get teased and bugged like everybody else, but so when I was 21, 22, that's when I started with my heritage and I found elders. And, I'm sorry, I should acknowledge the Catesy Reserve as well as the Kwatlam Reserve. Uh, and I give thanks, honor, and respect for them. So, in saying all that, I have all my elders that I've been dealing with for, oh gosh, a long time. And unfortunately, a lot of them are gone now. I have one back east and one up here, up north. But all my elders are gone, and I'm considered an elder now. An elder is not necessarily, you know, a senior within our nations. It's one who holds. It's like a knowledge keeper, a wisdom keeper, however you see that. And I was quite wrong when they called upon me to do that, and I was just like, no, 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 no. And they're like, you're putting it as a senior, Mary. You're not a senior. We're saying you're an elder. So I've come to accept it begrudgingly, but I have. And the teachings, there's the teach. I could stand here for days on end and teach you about teachings. You know, one I really do want to share with you all is all my relations. You'll hear that at all ceremonies, um, all gatherings. All my relations is not just you standing in front of me, the men, the females, the young ones, the elders, not just the human beings. It's the grass, it's the trees, it's Mother Earth, Father Sky. Um, you may see them as just objects, or maybe you don't even acknowledge them. I don't know, but we do. We have high respect for that. You know, um, all my relations is that rock. That rock assists us and guides us in certain ceremonies. We use rocks. The tree provides shade. It provides its bark. It provides its wood for our fires. It provides so much. Like, excuse me. So we give thanks, honor, and respect to all aspects. When I make a drum from scratch, I honor that elk hide, the deer for providing its life, for the sinew, for the hide, for and the tree. It just so much goes into it, and anybody can do that. Anybody can say that, but if it's not heartfelt, anything that applies to anything in life, it's not heartfelt. It's much more when it's heartfelt. Did I get off track there? I'm so sorry. Um,
No, it's all good. It's all good.
um,
Yeah, I had just wanted to ask you, can you clarify what a role of an elder is in Indigenous communities? Because so actually, we should address you as Elder Mary, I think, first of all, as a title. And so, what does an elder do?
an elder is there to assist and guide another on their journey of life, to share the wisdom or the knowledge, or even just support. My supporting someone, if I'm in ceremony or not, doesn't necessarily mean like if they're upset and they're crying that gather them and I hold them into their heart. I'm there. I can just stand beside them and be there for them if need be. We are all natural nurturers, the females, so we automatically want to gather, hug, but you know what? They need to do whatever it is they need to do. So allow them to do. So that is a huge part. I'm an elder with the Fraser River Indigenous Society, and since 2010, the one here in Maple Ridge, and I love attending the ceremonies, and it's just helping others if they have questions or what have you. Helping them on their journey of life.
Oh, okay, that's wonderful to hear about that and the role of elders. And I know it's a huge sense of support. And for many people, it's it's a way toward mental health and well-being, is to
Mhm.
have access to an elder. And so that's so thank you, Hajka, for providing that for people in the community.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about how you're planning on spending Truth and Reconciliation Day.
Depending on how I'm feeling that day, of course, but, uh, I will go uptown to, Memorial Peace Park, and they always have a gathering there, so I will be doing that, and I'll be in the elders tent.
Mhm.
Yes.
Do, do people often approach you in the elders tent to chat or to learn more?
Well, I've been here for a long time in Maple
Mhm.
Ridge, so
Mhm.
I get approached by a lot of people because they've seen me around, so whether it's for that purpose or not, yeah, so I've been around.
Yeah, yeah, they see you as a strong member of the community. That's amazing. Well, what exactly is the best way for non-Indigenous folks to participate or learn more about Indigenous issues? Like, should they be going to that event that you're talking about? Is that open to everybody?
Oh,
Or
yes, any community, you can just get online and look under their city, like, City of Maple Ridge or Port Coquitlam or what have you, whatever city it is, and look under events, and they'll have something. I'm not sure where they're all taking place, but yes,
Mhm,
attending those events, listening, asking questions,
mhm,
you know, I have to say, I have to acknowledge this, that, I was asked to when we did the Pro D Day for for us personally, like territory, and I know it sounds really bad, territorial, like, but that's not it. I acknowledge the people who live in that area because I ceremony with them at Sundance or whatever ceremony it is. And you always approach the people who live in that section, that area first, and ask them if they can, partake in this, whatever it is, 120th birthday or, Pro D Day. You always approach
mhm,
whoever's in your territory.
mhm,
And that's an honor. That is honor. That is respect.
mhm,
And I would never step on someone else's toes. That would be like me coming over to iChance house and saying, "Okay, I'm having a housewarming party here from my house, but I'm doing it at your house." Same kind of thing. Also come, it's all about respect, like I say,
mhm.
respect
Yeah.
and honor.
I mean, it's quite generous that many of the nations are actually willing to still continue to host us. I mean, given that it is unceded land, right? And so being able to still be open is actually, I find that very generous of so many communities. And I mean, partly that's also comes up in these land acknowledgements that we do, and I'm curious, like, what do you think is the significance of doing those land acknowledgements?
Well, that depends on which nation you're referring to, right? I mean, that's what the treaties are all about. I mean,
Mm,
it all depends on what nation. I mean, regardless. Uh, and this goes this can get political. Like, this is a really touchy subject. Seriously, it is. I'd be very careful about where I would bring up this kind of a subject.
mm,
If I were with like, I'd have to know them pretty well. If
mhm,
I were in a room of elders, or yeah, I would be very very careful about that. But like I say, treaties. Uh, that's all I got to say.
yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
It's truly true. I've read a lot of different conversations about land acknowledgements, and as you say, there are some people who are like, that is the bare minimum of what everybody should be doing, and some people are like, don't do them. They're meaningless. They don't go far enough. There's so many other things that we should be doing. Why are we doing this? It's an empty gesture. I mean, it just runs the whole gamut, right? So
Oh, exactly, and that's
yeah.
what I mean, it can get political, like,
Hmm.
it's a very touchy subject,
Mm.
you
Hmm.
know? It
Well,
is, and I don't
may
wanna take away from it, by no means.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that perhaps something that is less political, less controversial. I'd love to hear more about your relationship with the land. Can you tell us more about that?
Oh, I try to tell people this. So let's go back to all my relations. I
Okay.
talk to you about all my relations. You will hear that a lot. So, I chant if we're in ceremony, you're my sister. And, Mark is my brother, and so and so's my brother and sister. We're all related. We are all one. That's what it is. We are all one. We all come from one creator, you know. And when
Mhm.
when I say prayers, or when I conduct, circles or what have you, I always say that, I may say creator, great spirits, God, but you know what? Whatever that is to
Mhm.
you, if it sits right with you, then so be it. So, whether it be Allah, Buddha, Jesus, Mother Mary, whatever avenue that is, whatever source that is to you, please, whatever sits right with you. I never ever want to force my way of looking or believing at someone else. I can share my perspective, but by no means am I saying for you to do that. Right. So, in saying that, you know, mine is being grounded. It was said by an elder, because of where we live, and this applies to anybody and everybody, because we all live in a city. The energy is different. Energy, we are made of energy. I mean, energy is a real thing. So, energy, because of electricity, because of everything that we have in the cities, if you go out and you're in nature, in a forest or by a lake, by a river, sit down, connect with nature. It takes you approximately 20, depending on whereabouts you are, it takes about 20 to 30 minutes to change your vibrational frequency to the land around you.
Mm.
When that happens, you will notice a difference. Birds come closer, butterflies, everything, and everything's so much more closer to you,
Mhm.
not the other way around. No. And, preferably put your feet on Mother Earth. Sit your butt down on the ground. Connect. I was telling her, and she's like, "Oh, well, I can do that. I'm outside all the time." And I says, "Okay, but are you really connecting?" No,
Mm.
you're taking pictures, you're doing this, you're doing that. So your mind's not really just taking in the nature of it all. Your mind is thinking about this, this, and this. And I says, "Okay, watch this." And I'm not doing this to brag by no means. I'm just doing it to share a story.
Mhm.
Uh, a butterfly came down, and we were sitting on the ground, and butterfly came, kind of went, and I says, "You better come back and say hello to me, mister." And I'm talking like not even a minute later, it came back, landed on my thumb, and sat there for about 30 seconds. And
Wow.
she's like, "Oh my God, Mary." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's just, that's what I mean about being connected with nature."
Mm.
And anybody can do it, not just me, anyone. Just having that connectiveness to nature,
Mm.
and that's it. You know,
Mm.
it's an amazing thing when you get out of the city,
Mhm.
out
Mhm.
of the city, out of the energies. That's what come all our ceremonies will take place out in nature.
Mhm.
We don't want no like there's one no electricity,
Mhm.
for miles and miles and miles.
Mm.
Like we are out there. And yeah, there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that,
Mm.
you
Right.
know? But yeah, it's all about respect. Like I respect and honor, every single animal being, you know, and i- it's it's just a way of being, I suppose. You
Mm.
know, it's just a way of being, accepting, believing. Believing is seeing, not seeing is believing, you
Mm.
know? So it's
Oh, yeah.
your belief system matters. Your belief system. And like I say, the more heartfelt it is, oh, the more amazing things happen.
Mm. I really like that inversion of the phrase, believing is seeing. And so once you believe that you can see more, and yeah, find the time to actually appreciate what's around you. And I also love this idea with all my relations is like the connection that we have with everybody, people, but also, non-human people as well,
Yeah.
right? That
Beings, yeah,
it's,
every
yeah,
living being.
animals and yeah, living beings, even rocks, right? Like in mountains. And so thinking about that, that's so lovely. And I feel like I need to go out now to find some trees and some earth and some nature to be with. It's hard. Um,
Excuse me.
what other can you tell us some of your other favorite stories or teachings? I really like the all of my relations one, but are there any other ones that you'd like to share with us today?
Everything's about a ceremony. You know,
Okay.
ceremony. There's a ceremony for everything. Absolutely everything. For the little girl who you're having a hard time with, regardless of what age you are, 30, 40, 50, you may have a little girl inside you that, there's a ceremony for that.
Mm,
There's a ceremony for anything and everything. But the ceremonies are very simplistic
mm,
overall, pretty much if you really think about it. So, I have a ceremony every time I have a shower.
mm,
I turn that into my little ceremony. I acknowledge Mother Earth. I acknowledge Father Sky. I give thanks for that water that cleanses my body, my soul, my mind,
mhm.
and my spirit. You know, I have a little ceremony when I see Grandmother Moon, and she was just beautiful last weekend,
Yeah.
uh, shining brightly. You can turn anything and everything into a ceremony,
Mm,
and it's all about acknowledgement,
mhm.
you know, acceptance, honor, and respect. Like, I can't say honor and respect enough. Gosh, you know, and the ones who walked before us,
Mhm,
uh, our ancestors,
mhm.
those are huge, huge. I get up in the middle, not in the middle of the night, but to me, I suppose to some it's middle of the night, 5:30, quarter to 6. And I go outside and acknowledge the world and I give thanks, you know,
Oh, mm,
thank to the ones who walked before me,
mhm,
to Creator, to all my helpers, like there's so many things and they're so simplistic, so simplistic. Nothing has to be, that's how come it's so nice to get away from the city and go out. No phones, no nothing. Like just reconnect with nature. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's a
mm,
beautiful thing. And, stories. Well, oh my gosh, there's so many. There's so many teachings that I can share. So many teachings. We have medicines like, well, sorry, what was that?
oh, nothing. So go ahead.
Oh, um, there's everybody thinks, oh, what are the directions? What do you feel the directions are, Jen?
I guess for me, I think about them as the four ways to orient myself so that I can always go back home.
Well,
I always know, like if in my family, the Chongs always say like we're born with sort of an inner compass. So like we always know like where north is, where south is, like anywhere we are. And for me, it's all about making sure that those directions help me go back to my home, which is, where my family is, right? Wherever they are.
mhm.
So that's what those mean to me. But yeah, I'd love to hear more about what you have to say.
So, you know, let me see. There's the four directions. Everybody knows east, west, south, north. But Mother Earth is another direction. Father Sky is another direction. And of course, the main direction is Creator. So in our ceremonies, we'll always honor the seven directions. Always. But within those four directions that I spoke of, it's not just, I mean, there's 4 cycles of life. There's, the babe, the infant, you know what I mean? There's the child, there is the teenager, there's the adult, there is the senior, elder. So there's the 4 phases of a day, right? You have morning, you've got noon, you've got dusk, you've got night. You have, we have 4 medicines. We have cedar, we have tobacco, we have sage, we have, I'm missing one. Sweetgrass, sweetgrass. We have, um, 4, so you have 4 seasons, summer, fall, winter. There's so many more things that are, are contained within those 4 directions that we acknowledge and we sit upon as we look at life. Like, you know, that senior person, that elder person, our elders are sitting there and they've done the work. They've gone through life. They've seen, they've spoken, they've experienced. Now their time is just to sit back, look back, re- retrospect, but also to share their teachings with the ones behind them and hopefully to assist and guide them. You know, uh, but you can't jump from one cycle to another, life cycle. So you can't jump from a babe to a teenager. Like that's just not going to happen. Just like a teenager to an elder, you can't. You
Right.
have to go, you have to go through those phases of life,
Mhm.
right? Those 4. And that's a come with, like, for instance, my name. That will be the last name I receive. So you get one when you're born. Sometimes when you're and if something happens, you'll get one as a teenager, as adult, as a elder.
Mm.
But
Mm.
at times you may get different ones if something happens to you in your life, like something exciting or maybe something dramatic. You may get another name. But that's up to the ones who are providing the name.
And who usually does that? Is it the community who provides the name? Is it your family or other elders or?
It's usually an elder, for lack of a better word. I don't really
Mhm.
like that word, mind you, but a medicine
Mm.
man or a medicine woman,
Mm.
right? And yeah, my, you know, my, so in finding out about my ancestors, I can only go back so far, and we're at this, and it's not just me; it's my cousins who I've met and everything. I've only met one of my cousins on my father's side, but so there's stories that abound. So my it's three great 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 grandfather was a medicine man, and he didn't have any sons, so his daughters became medicine women. And uh, my great grandmother, she was the first one in northern Alberta. I believe it was Spirit River, um, who was the first woman to buy property on her own back in the late 1800s. Like, I can't remember. It was
Wow.
yeah, no, it was just amazing, amazing. And she was on her way to do some medicine work. And she was, oh my gosh, like she was young. I believe it was like, 11, 12, 13, somewhere in there. And she was going to the next village to do medicines and doctor this young boy who was there. She was on her own. She had her horse and this cart to carry her medicines. And sorry, is this okay to say? Are you guys okay with this? Anyway, so
Sure.
she was coming back and it was getting dark and she stayed way too late and she was very concerned and worried. And she was coming back and she could hear the bear. She could hear it. And her decision was like, okay, do I leave the horse here as prey, right? Like for food and me go? Or do I like take the horse, like leave the medicines take
Right.
the horse, hop on, and just hope to gosh I make it back home, right? So she was walking and she was contemplating this, and in her mind, all she heard was, "I will walk with you. I'll walk with you." And she's like, "Okay." So she's walking. The bear came out, acknowledged her like a physical bear, and then went back on the side and was walking beside her in the forest.
My gosh.
And so she just kept going, and then she heard the wolf. She didn't see the wolf, she heard the wolf. And the bear came out anyway, so she's freaking out again. And the bear was there though. So she's felt a little, anyway, same thing happened. The same thing happened. I walk with you. So there's the wolf that came out, acknowledged her, went back, and they both walked her all the way home because she was so scared and terrified. And so, Creator looked out for her and sent her these guardians, right? The guardians. When she actually physically died in this life. So, and this is northern Alberta, and every nation. I want to share that with you guys. Every nation, you know, this may be their belief system for the Northern Cree Alberta, but I'm not taking away from anybody else's. So it's not going to apply to all nations, all the
Mhm.
teachings that I share. They may be very, very similar, but they may not be exact. So I want you to understand that also. I will honor and respect someone else's traditions and ceremonies and their way when I'm on their territory. I definitely will. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I just wanted to say that. So, anyways, when she passed away, her sons got everything together, and because she's a medicine person, they made a huge pile of all her belongings, all her clothes, everything, everything. Her medicine bundle got a little bit split up amongst who she wanted, but everything went in there. And as they burned her clothes, all you hear around the property is wolves, and out comes the bears. So the bears and the wolves were there when they burned all her stuff.
To honor her.
Yeah.
Wow. And to guide her maybe to the
Yes.
next one,
Yes.
right? Next
I
step.
know. Isn't that amazing?
I'm like having chills,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. No,
That's really truly amazing.
it
And
is.
wow. And thank you for that reminder that of course this is a teaching from your family and from the Bonaparte man, but that doesn't necessarily, not all Indigenous communities are the same, and there's lots of different stories and teachings from every single one that have different meanings.
Precisely.
So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Oh, wow, that was really beautiful, and honestly, I'm, like, so moved to hear that, about your great grandmother, wow. Um, so I guess I'm curious about these, like, you talked about this, like, burning of her belongings as well as, some of the, naming ceremonies, and so what are some other important rites of passage, that are celebrated in a person's life?
Well, those are major ones right there. Those are
Yeah.
huge. You know, and like I say, everything, every aspect of life is.
Mhm.
It's not just one little thing. Oh, you're turning 20. No, you're becoming a teenager. There's a ceremony for that. You know, uh, some people may not like it, but I mean, we call it moon time when someone's on their period. So that is a rite of passage right there. And they actually have a ceremony for that.
Yeah,
In her first, that young
yeah,
one's first bloodletting, and they bury it and they honor that.
wow.
And they have a ceremony for that
Mhm.
to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Same with the boys, right?
Mhm.
So it's more than just, there's so many things. Like I say, there's a ceremony for everything.
Mhm.
Everything. So I can't that's it's too vast just to 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 to, to say one thing.
Too many.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Especially if, you're doing it on a daily basis, talking about just, yeah, giving gratitude for the world, waking up, the shower. So there's many that can be incorporated throughout the day even. So
Hmm.
okay. Well, what about some special holidays or other traditions that you can share with us from Bonaparte, or other groups that you feel like are important to you?
I would have to say the ceremonies, and the ceremonies, like the
Okay.
main huge ones.
Hmm.
There's 7, but the huge ones are Sundance, of course, and there's another one I attend that is, excuse me, Star Lodge, to acknowledge our brothers and sisters from the Star Nations.
Okay.
Um, there's yeah, and of course you've got, your sweat lodges, your UWP ceremonies. There's some like yeah, those are not holidays per se.
Right. Traditions. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I wouldn't call them holidays, but those are things that we acknowledge and do.
Mm, hmm. Okay.
And I go to support others. I may not do this Sundance, but I'm there to support someone. I'm there to offer my support, which is my prayers, my presence, my energy to assist and guide them on their way.
Okay. And so I guess I'm wondering if you have any like special food or meals as part of these traditions.
Oh my gosh, the food. Oh, oh, oh.
Tell me about the food, Elder Mary.
It is amazing. Like I say, when I went to uh, Cache Creek Reserve, oh my Lord, I'm telling you, people, elk, bear, deer, moose, uh, buffalo. Oh, oh my God, the food is phenomenal. If you ever are able to attend a feast, do so. Do so. And you know what is amazing? I've been there, like I say, 250 people. Not one thing will be duplicated.
Whoa.
It's just astounding. It's absolutely astounding. You will not see the same food dish. Like, I was just like, wow. And it happens more often than not,
Right.
you know?
Hmm. Well, that is very impressive.
Yeah.
Yes, well, I'm gonna look for an invitation to one of those and make sure that I attend. That sounds delicious.
Oh, and the bannock, the salmon, you
Hmm.
know. Yeah, unfortunately, we can't get salmon right now, but, you can get
Yeah.
spring, but I haven't been
Hmm.
able to get sockeye salmon for a while,
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately. But,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel like that's still a lot to look forward to with elk and deer, and I've never had moose before. Wow.
oh,
Okay.
the roasts are just phenomenal. Yeah, if you guys are ever able to attend, I'm telling you, a ceremony like that. And there was one place I'll never forget. I've never had salmon like this before, ever since. And I'm telling you, I always look and I'm like, oh, I want this. So they did these salmons, like they had them cut in half. The salmons were cut in half. So, and they had these A frames built in these half barrel containers, and they had coals in them. And this is in Port Moody for a canoe ceremony. Oh my God. It was just so amazing to look at. And I don't know how many they had, like how many fish they had going at one time. I seriously, I couldn't even count that high. Anyway, so they had them done. They weren't even touching the coals, no nothing. It had to have been the best salmon I've ever had in my freaking life. Ever, like ever. I loved it. Loved it. But yeah,
Oh.
just had to share that one with you.
Well, some of our tummies are rumbling. So, well, okay. That sounds like a great way to have salmon. One of my favorites. Okay. All right. Well, what are some recommendations if somebody wanted to find out more about some musicians or artists or authors or events to support that you can recommend who are Indigenous? Do you have any recommendations?
I would go first off for s like I say, whatever area you're in, you
Mhm.
know, like I just went out to a powwow out in Langley. It was just beautiful. Because I'm an elder, I didn't have to, uh, uh pay, but, it was $10, well worth the $10. Oh my god, the costumes are gorgeous. You've got little toddlers, like babies, dressed
Mm.
up and then dancing all the way to the seniors, and, it's just the music, it's just the energy from the drums and the dancing, and, it's just so awe-inspiring, and it's just so I don't know, just a different energy, and it really does affect you. It truly does. Because the drums there are powwow drums. They're huge. I don't know if you guys have ever
Yeah.
seen a powwow
Mhm.
drum, but oh my gosh, the energy from them is amazing. I was
Mhm.
going to bring my drum or my rattle today and sing a song, but because of the way my throat is, it wouldn't come out very well. So I'm sorry. I'm not going to be able to sing a song. I could try maybe, but I don't know. I don't think my throat's going to take it today. Sorry.
No, that's okay. You need to take care
Um,
of yourself.
but going to your local communities. So, like for Maple Ridge, the Fraser Indigenous Society. In Surrey, there is. They also have Aboriginal Society. Go to your local. Yeah, you can get on their website. You can look around. You know what I mean? Like, and there's so many different things that you can attend. Like, and there's something always going on. I think. Like
There are.
I've attended healing circles out in Surrey at a youth center, and oh, that was beautiful. This healing, I have to tell you, I witnessed it before at Sundance up north. And for instance, this is so beautiful. It really touched my heart. It really does touch your heart. So it's a healing ceremony, and this family has done it for years and years and years and years and years. And what it is, how you see a bearskin rug, right? Bearskin rug. Well, they've done this, and they put it on, and I'm telling you, you would swear to God a bear was coming at you like the way it happens. But this family has offered their offerings, and you know this bear is healing. There's the other thing.
Mm.
Bear is healing. It's the most healing thing out there. And the reason I say that is because that's the only animal on planet Earth. Think about this now, that can live off its own body for how many months at a time without eating, without being or booing or any of those things, right? Think about that. Is that
Mm.
not just amazing? And researchers are still looking, like, what is it that makes this happen, right?
Mm.
So every piece of that animal, when someone uh, kills a bear, first off, you know, offerings are done, ceremonies done, but every piece of that animal will be used. Everything.
Mhm.
And their fat is used for bear grease. We call it bear grease. And it's their fat mixed with some anyways, if you put it on your skin
Mm.
and say you've got a rash or something, oh my gosh. Oh, it works wonders. It works wonders. Yeah, everything's used.
Mhm.
Everything's used. And that's what I mean. A lot of the animals and their parts we use for medicines too,
Mm.
right? And
Yeah.
anyway, so getting back to the bear, uh, this bear healing, they had a young one. He was 9 years old. He'd been doing it since he's been 5 or 6 years old. And he was the young bear there.
Mhm.
But they connect with the spirit of the bear, right? And they become that bear and they provide that healing. And to witness such a thing is just wow. Just wow. Wow. And out in Chilliwack, I've attended a mask ceremony where they actually have masks on, and they provide healing to certain families if they've been asked. You know, everything's done. There's protocol in order to all things regarding ceremonies, regarding even ICHAN. If you're going to go to Kwantlen First Nations, There's protocol in order for you to attend. You don't just show up and say, "Hey,
Right.
I'm so and so, and I'm gonna," oh
Yeah.
no, 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 no. You don't. You phone and you make yourself known, and
Mhm.
an offering you can offer tobacco. You can, you know, offering tobacco is always
Yeah.
one thing, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
That's part of our medicines again.
Mhm.
you know and it's saying that, I want to touch back on this because I mentioned it, the four directions. So, there's also an animal for each direction. So, and a color. So in the east you'll have, or where am I, east, sorry, east. In the east you have yellow, and that's the eagle. That's vision. Think about the rising sun. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Dawn. That's dawn. So then you have, excuse me, in the south. See, and this is, different for each nation. This is where, there's no right or wrong. It just depends on where you are.
Mm.
Uh, it's the jumping mouse or the wolf. The wolf is our teacher, right? Jumping mouse always has to jump up to see what's going on. Like, what's going on. Same kind of thing. So, and it's all depending on what nation believes in that animal. But and that color is black or blue green. Some don't like the color black, so they'll go blue or green, um, for that south direction. And it's also represented by uh, the Black Society. So we have the four races, right? And you have white, black, yellow, and red. So those are also covered in those four directions. Now, the in the west direction is that bear that's
Mm.
healing, right? That is the healing bear. That if we have a ceremony, and a spirit releasement ceremony, oh, the color's red, by the way, red. Um, but that direction. If we have a spirit releasement ceremony, that spirit releasement ceremony is where we send off our loved ones to the other side, right? But spirit releasement ceremony isn't necessarily for the ones who are leaving planet Earth. It's the ones that are here. The ones that are here. So you're releasing attachments to that person so they can fully go to the other side free and
Okay.
clear.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Because 'Cause
You
we're the
know?
ones holding on to that,
Precisely.
person. Yeah, okay.
Precisely. Precisely. It's an amazing ceremony. It truly is.
Mm.
It really, really is. Yeah. So that's the west direction. And then we have the north direction. That north direction, um, is where the white buffalo sits. That's where the senior sits. Is the color white. Uh, that's a reflection. There's so many teachings in there. But yeah, you know, if you're ever able to attend uh, a medicine wheel, I highly suggest that also. And don't think you don't have to be First Nations to attend these ceremonies. You know, if there is only First
Mhm.
Nations,
Mhm.
I don't think you get past a certain point anyways, right? You
Mm.
wouldn't. But anything outdoor, like the one in North Van, anybody can attend,
Mhm.
right? And they always have honoring uh seasons, and they'll have a bonfire down at the Kate Park. Is that correct? I
Uh-huh.
think it's I
Yep.
think it's called Kate Park, CATE. Um, and they'll have one probably. Oh, probably had it last weekend. Last weekend. But yeah, and they always have acknowledgement ceremonies.
Mhm. Mhm.
But attending your local, just get online and see what,
Mm.
Mission has a lot too, you know,
Okay.
and ask, and just say, hey, I'm just here to learn too. And I'm
Mm.
really, but yeah, it's pretty simple actually, if you really think about it.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear that they're open and available to non-Indigenous folks. I know that many people look to the Aboriginal Friendship Society, friendship centers, as sort of like a good resource. So if anybody is interested in contacting, they I think as Elder Mary said, like we should go to the host nation in their website to see if they are putting on any events. But sometimes, they're it may not be. I don't always find it on like their sites. And so I know that the Aboriginal Friendship Center often has events, or you can call them to ask as well what the local ones are.
Yeah, and local, like I say,
Mhm.
you know, and put it this way, they're not gonna be able to say, "All my relations," right?
Yeah.
So they have to be able to be open because it's accepting all, right? Honoring
Mm.
all. It,
Hmm.
like, that's why we have a circle. The
Hmm.
circle, everything's done in a circle. It's because there's no beginning, there's no end. It's
Mm.
just a continuous form,
Right.
right?
Okay, well, let me just finish up with one final question. And then we can go into Q&A with if any other folks in the audience have some questions. And my question is actually perhaps sort of has some echoes of what you have already mentioned, but Elder Mary, where do you go to find community, to feel like you belong?
You know, here, I lived here. I've lived here for 27 years now. So this is my home now. Home is where your heart is,
Mm,
right? Your hearth, home and hearth is what a lot of elders will say, and that's wherever your heart is where your home is.
mm,
So, and if I'm across the river, that's my home right then and there.
yeah,
So that's my answer.
yeah, it's with you. Wow. Well, I've just learned a ton from you
Well,
in
thank you.
just a short amount of time. I'm so grateful for what you've shared with us. And I'll open it now to the audience to see if there's any other questions that any of you have for Elder Mary. You can just pop it into the chat. There are just Elder Mary, if you haven't seen, there's a lot of people who have shared how much gratitude they have to you. Vic has said, congratulations, Mary, on being recognized as an elder. And you have presented your culture, traditions, and perspectives on spirituality in such a heartfelt manner. Very sincere thank you.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
yeah, and Irish is thanking you for a wonderful presentation, for sharing such valuable information about First Nations, and your knowledge and insights are greatly appreciated. Um, Samantha has said, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. And yeah, and it just keeps going. Lots of people are very, I think, grateful to what
Yeah,
to you for what you've said.
thank you.
Um, yeah, let's see if there's any questions that come in.
So as you're looking, I was just going to mention that, like I
Mhm,
say, it's all about respect and honor. And,
mhm,
e- even when you're attending a function or an event, uh, always always wait for a pause, a break. You don't want to talk over someone. You do not want to do that. Like that would be very disrespectful, especially if it's an elder that's speaking. You always wait, and if you're in a ceremony or if there's a feast happening, elders always get served first, always, and it's the youngest one that usually serves the oldest one.
mhm,
So the children, regardless, and some people might get a little bit upset about that. Oh, my child's starving. My child's starving. No, it goes down. So there is for lack of a better word, hierarchy. But
mhm,
you know, yeah, some people get a little bit upset about my kid's starving, needs food.
mhm. Oh, elderberry, it's the same in my culture. And for Chinese people, it's very important for the elders to be served first. And there is also a social hierarchy that is observed. And you're right, the children get served last.
Hmm. Yes.
So yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't see any other questions. It sounds like there's a lot of people again who are just sharing gratitude. Do you have any final thoughts or anything else you wanted to share? I think it's really helpful to let people know about like the pausing, right? And the protocols around communication and around respecting elders and having that uh teaching recently reminded me again of in the Western kind of traditions here, it's listening to respond to react. And so people just often, especially I feel like students in the classroom, they're often they listen and then they're like, oh, okay, I have to answer, I have to say something. Whereas I think a lot of again, my recent teachings from Indigenous teachers have said listening is to receive that message with your heart, right?
Yes.
And so,
Yes.
yeah, it's not
Heartfelt.
to, it's heartfelt, and it's not to react and respond, which is what our instinct is, I think, in the West, but it's no, to
Oh,
receive that message.
one final thing. You said one thing. Mine is listen to learn, learn to listen,
Mm,
right? But the other thing I wanted to mention was our medicines include the drums, the rattles. Those are part of our medicine. The drum is our heartbeat, like Mother Earth, right? The rattles are those are whole teach. I could sit here all day tell you teachings, but um, never ever don't touch someone else's rattle or drum unless they actually offer it to you to play. Never never touch someone else's drum or rattle because that is their medicine.
yeah, just in the same way, if a drum is like your heartbeat, I'm never gonna just reach out and grab somebody's heart and like touch their, touch their chest without their permission, right? Would
But
never do that.
some people do it. They're doing it innocently. What I'm saying, they are doing it innocently. Like, oh, what kind of height is that? And they're touching my drum. Okay, well, you
Mm.
can you can ask your question without touching my drum, right? And because that's my medicine. And now I got to go home and I got to smudge the heck out of it, and you know,
Thank you for that reminder. Yeah, that's
yeah.
great. Yeah. Okay, well, I know that we're about coming to the end of this session, and there were so many beautiful teachings and stories that you shared with us, Elder
Okay.
Mary. So thank you. I really, really appreciate you taking the time and for being so open. I feel like you modeled this perfectly for us in terms of, as you say, being respectful, reciprocity, and your openness of saying, these are some of my teachings I'm sharing, and ideas from my community, but they're not trying to push them on anybody else, and everybody has their own. And I think
Yeah.
your way of modeling it is really beautiful.
Thank you.
So
And you
thank
know
you.
what? There's no such thing as a stupid question either, when you're attending these functions or events with someone, like I say, just pause and just be careful about when you ask your question, not who you're asking it to. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. But yeah, they appreciate the questions. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here today. And really appreciate everybody's time, and hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the day. And yes, and on Monday, National Truth and Reconciliation Day, we will be wearing orange shirts tomorrow, as well as our tradition of the last Thursday of the month. So for everybody who has a chance, please wear an orange shirt to show support. All right.
Thank
Thanks
you all.
again. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Take care.
Have a great day.
You too.